The governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, and some others have alleged that you are an APC infiltrator into the party, sent to destabilize the party. How do you respond to this?
Well, in the next couple of weeks and few days, we know who is actually used by the APC to infiltrate the party, whether it is Alex Otti or myself. It will be very clear very soon as to who is being used by APC or who is not being used by anybody to destabilize the party. I want to say clearly that in 2024 in the convention, Peter Obi and Alex Otti were given free tickets for 2027 general election under my leadership. So it was at that point when Alex Otti and Peter Obi went to Umuahia to set up a critical committee that I saw Alex Otti and Peter Obi as being a destructive element to the party instead of being an asset. It was at that point when they went to Umuahia to set up a critical committee, a party, an executive that already gave you tickets, the two of you, to run for 2026, sold tickets. I have thought that reasonable leaders would have built on that moment. No matter what may have been the grievances, no matter what people may have been saying, no matter what may have been the issue.
Welcome to Naija Unfiltered, a SYMFONI podcast. And our guest on today's edition of the program is the faction and national chairman of the Labour Party, Mr. Julius Abure. Good to have you on the program.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. I thank you for having me.
All right, let's start this way. A little bit of background for people to really understand and appreciate what's happening in the Labour Party. The Federal High Court removed you. The Court of Appeal removed you and fined you 10 million for wasting judicial time. Meanwhile, INEC has recognized Nenadi Usman. So, by what authority are you still moving as the national chairman of Labour Party?
Well, I wish to make it very clear that we are on appeal. I have filed my notice of appeal, and we are waiting for date for compilation of records, and then we'll properly be in the court of in the Supreme Court. You recall that the Federal High Court had earlier pronounced me as the national chairman of Labour Party. It was also affirmed by the Court of Appeal. And Nenadi Usman then appealed to the Supreme Court and said it was an internal affair of the party, that the two courts were wrong to have pronounced me as national chairman of the party. The Supreme Court said yes, issues of leadership are internal affair of the party, and therefore you people should resolve your issues. And so I have been functioning as national chairman of the party on that capacity until January this year, when Nenadi Usman went back to court and started relitigating all over. And ironically, paradoxically too, the Federal High Court pronounced her as chairman, and regrettably it was affirmed by the Court of Appeal. And so we have appealed that judgment, and that's where we are. And the Electoral Acts made it categorically clear that for persons to be able to bring pre-election matter, you must have participated in the processes of the primaries, of all the processes leading to nomination of candidates. And you know, everybody is aware in Nigeria that I am the Labour Party personified. I'm the symbol of the party that is known. Who built the party was there over the years. And therefore, we have huge following, huge followers. People want to run an election who believe very strongly that there was injustice that was done, and that this is where the party is. And to that extent, they want to run the election because we believe very strongly that the illegality, the injustice that have taken place, perpetuated, where one man, because he's governor, we just appoint people, handpick people, and appoint them as critical committee. We believe that the Supreme Court will not allow that impunity to happen. And the law says, the law aids the vigilance. It is only the vigilant person that the law aids If the Electoral Act had made it very clear that for you to bring a pre-election matter, you must have participated in all the processes, it would be very wrong of us for us to fold our hands and say we are not going to do anything, allow INEC timetable to run, allow impunity, allow injustice to take place without doing anything. So it is to this extent we are participating in the processes and doing what we need to do. And in addition, the Nana Usman Co. have been there for more than 2 years, also factionalizing the party, hiring offices, selling forms in all other elections. FCT named them. They also hired offices. The office was in Life Camp and several other places, fighting that they were the leadership of the party. So we are not doing anything unusual. And in any event, it is not peculiar to Labour Party alone. Today, SDP has 2 leadership. They even have 2 presidential candidates. Even the ADC itself also factionalized. They are also selling forms and doing their own thing. The 2 groups. Even the PDP, the Turaki group and the other group are doing their thing. In any event, I need to make it categorically clear that, as was speculated by Nana Usman Co., we are not selling forms. I must say here that we try to project and make Labour Party to be different, because we believe that Labour Party is a party for the artisans, it's a party for labourers, it's a party for artisans, it's a party for the poor people. And therefore, along the line of that philosophy, to make partisan politics different, to make it seamless for people who may not have deep pockets, who may not be money back, to be able to participate in partisan politics seamlessly. In 2022 and 2023 general election, we gave forms free to people along the philosophy of my leadership. And that's why in the history of the country, the history of partisan politics in Nigeria, Okada Rider won election to the House of Representatives. Bus drivers, palm kernel crushers, artisans won election into the federal house and into the state houses of assembly. It was because of the ideology and philosophy of the party under my leadership. The philosophy of Labour is well known all over the world. It's a brand, it's known all over the place. But the drivers of the process matter a lot. And so under my leadership, we were able to break even and achieve that because of those of us who were saddled with the leadership of the party. And you recall that in January this year, we also made it clear that we are going to encourage the vulnerable members in our society, the youth, women, and even the physically challenged, that we are going to give them free forms in the 2027 general election. But they have to participate in our mentorship program and all of that, leadership mentorship program and so on. And these programs have been on, and we already train people who are ready to run for election. And so since we have gone to Supreme Court, and the Electoral Act says you must have participated in all the processes, we want to lay the foundation. If you look at the recent thinking of the Supreme Court have been very, very vehement, very, very categorical, that issues of party leadership are internal affair of the party. So we believe that the injustice, the impunity, the gangsterism, the rascality that Nana Usman and the governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, is exhibiting can never stand before the Supreme Court. And so we don't want to be caught napping. And that's why we are doing what we are doing. And it's permissible, it's a democratic process, it's a process that is open, it's free. And I believe that at the end of the day, justice will be done and will be justified at the end of the day.
For the sake of argument, assuming the Supreme Court rules against you, those who are buying forms now, what will be their fate?
I have said it clearly that we are not selling forms.
Sorry.
All our forms
are
distributed free of charge. Of course, they know that whatever the Supreme Court says will, of course, be final. They are aware of it. My followers are well educated, well enlightened, very articulate. They appreciate all the dynamism involved in all of this. And moreover, it's free. We are not collecting money from anybody. And so they know what is there. And even those who are buying from Nana Usman stands more risk than people we are giving from. Because under the doctrine of lis pendis, if you go and whatever you've done, when there's a pendency of a suit, you know you are doing it at your risk. So it's very obvious that both those buying from Nanadi and even those who are getting free from knows the doctrine of lis pendis, that once the decision can go in that way and anything can happen. So it's a risk on both sides.
She is alleging, even though you've made it clear that the party is distributing funds free in line with the philosophy, but they are alleging and they have petitioned the IG and DSS that you are selling forms. How do you react to that allegation?
Well, I want to say it very clearly that the Nana Usman group are the most fearful people I've ever seen. They try to use their illegality. They try to use legal means to concretize their illegality. And that's what they tried to do with the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal supported it. I wonder where factions in the party have become a matter before the police. In any event, because of the way the country is, she's actually boasting, she has boasted everywhere, that she has the police, she has the DSX, and that she can give instruction even to anybody within that organization, and that they will carry it out. I'm not surprised that she's boasting along that line, because the Nigerian police was actually used to forcefully take over our office. You will recall that when they got the Federal High Court judgment, one would have expected, as is the norm, that they should have waited till we get to the final destination before coming to the office. But they were aided by the police to take over the office that we hired, the office that was duly ours. But because we are law-abiding citizens and because we believe in the legal process, we didn't want to fight, we didn't want to cause chaos. We decided to let it go and follow our issues the legal way. So, but I want to believe that on this one, no matter how she's boasting, no matter what she says, I want to see what the police will do. Whether the police will criminalize factionalization in the party. If they have not done so in PDP, they have not done so in ADC, they have not done so in SDP, I wonder why they will come and do it in Labour Party. So I'm watching, I'm ready. Nigerians are here watching the scenario, watching all of us, watching the impunity, watching the injustice, watching the oppression that is taking place. So I'm watching, but I believe that the Nigerian police will not degenerate to that level. I don't think they will degenerate to that level, but I'm watching, I'm waiting.
The governor of Abia State, Alex Otti, and some others have alleged that you are an APC infiltrator into the party, sent to destabilize the party. How do you respond to this?
Well, in the next couple of weeks and few days, we know who is actually used by the APC to infiltrate the party, whether it is Alex Otti or myself. It will be very clear very soon as to who is being used by APC or who is not being used by anybody to destabilize the party. I want to say clearly that in 2024 in the convention, Peter Obi and Alex Otti were given free tickets for 2027 general election under my leadership.
2023?
In 2024.
Okay.
In 2024, in the convention that brought in this leadership, Alex Otti and Peter Obi were given free tickets and sold tickets for the 2027 general election so that they can use that 3 years, sustain that momentum, and win the 2027 general election. Does such personality look like who would be used by a political party to destabilize the party? I want to tell you clearly that it's Alex Otti himself that is being used to destabilize the party. Alex Otti and Peter Obi were the ones who went to Umuahia, if you recall, and handpicked people to set up a critical committee that factionalized the party. And that's where the crisis of the party started. Is that my making? Am I the one that created that? So the monster that have affected the party was actually created by Alex Otti and followed by Peter Obi, as you can see. So I'm not being used in any. I'm only defending myself. You will recall that I have spent years in the party, building it, arranging the party, looking for people of like minds to come around in the party. And that was how we brought people like Alex Otti and co, believing that they will be able to change the trajectory of the party. And we did in 2023. So does that look like somebody who can be used by anybody to destabilize the party? The party grew under me, became big, became large, became popular under me. And it will shock you to know that over the years, I've been very close to people in APC, close to people in PDP. And I never left Labour Party for those parties. Is it now that the party is large, that is capable of winning election under my leadership, that I will now destabilize it? I mean, common sense. But when people want to resort to blackmail to achieve their purpose, some of us laugh and look at them, knowing that with time, issues will play out itself. And those who are hiding, who are playing the hide and seek game, will be known. The truth of every situation is not hidden. I mean, campaign will soon start. Electioneering will soon start. And we will know who is who in the country and who is who in the Labour Party.
All right, let's go back to 2022, when Peter Obi left the PDP. There were other parties available for him to have moved into, but somehow Labour Party became the vehicle for him. Walk us through that part. Did you approach him or he approached you? And what role exactly did you play in all of that?
I think that Peter Obi joining the party was the foundation that we laid. Before I took over the leadership of the party, the Labour Party was largely unknown, so to speak. But when I took over the leadership of the party, I decided to launder the image of the party and strategically position it for what you saw in 2022-2023 general election. The party is a brand, having its own philosophy, having its own ideology, but it was subsumed. And we felt that we needed to make it look different. And so we started looking for people with like minds, people we can work with, people who are different that we can actually sell. And that was how we started sourcing for people to join the party. We actually worked so hard to rebrand the party, and I'm sure that what happened in 2022, 2023 is what you can testify to. So it was actually our work, our foundation, hard work, commitment, dedication, sacrifices to the party that brought it to that level. We have had national chairmen in the party over the years, but none of them could do what we achieved with the party in 2022, 2023. So it became the envy of people. Nana Usma came to support Peter Obi presidential campaign. She wasn't even a member of the party. But because of the hard work that we did, because of the foundation that we laid and brought the party to where it is, people are now interested in taking over the leadership of the party. It is our work, our foundation that we laid that is there. And it's very clear that you've seen.
Did you, like I said, did you approach Peter Obi to join Labour, or he approached you people to join Labour Party?
I think we sent people. He was looking for a platform, and we felt we could work with him. And so we sent people to approach him. And so we got him to come and run under the platform of the party. We actually sent the National Organizing Secretary then to speak with him and bring him to run under the platform of the party. Because like I said, we're looking for credible Nigerians that we could use to drive the process of development for the country and for the party.
When Peter Obi came into the party, Utomi stepped down as the presidential candidate of the party. Was it designed in such a way for Peter Obi to pick the ticket, or what role did you play in getting that particular setup?
I need to make it clear that we had 6 presidential aspirants.
Really?
Yes, 6 presidential aspirants including Utomi. But Utomi was the most prominent, was the most visible among all the presidential candidates. All others, seeing Peter Obi, stepped down. And so, but we needed to also talk to Utomi to step down for Peter Obi on the day of the presidential primaries. We actually had candidates. Peter Obi was the one that joined last. You will recall that he joined us around May 2022. And before that time, we already had 5 presidential aspirants who wanted to run under the party. I can remember Sammy Charles. I can remember one Mrs. Stella. And a couple of them. The records are there. You know, history and records are always there. And, by the time you dig into it, you will you see it for yourself. So I actually played the role of stabilizing the party and appealing to those other aspirants to step down for Peter Obi, because at that time we believed that he was the biggest, he had the capacity to drive that process. And so I actually managed that process and ensured that every other aspirant agreed with me and allowed Peter Obi to go.
All right, when he won the primaries, and what was the agreement between you and him? Was there any formal deal or an informal understanding or a gentleman's agreement how the party should be run, probably after the elections?
There was nothing spectacular. I must say that I was working very closely with Peter Obi, as you can deduce. There was nothing formal. It was agreed that the leadership of the party will continue to work together and build the party for the future. What was paramount in our mind was having an alternative party that will have the capacity to win election, building a party for the future. That was what was paramount in our minds. And there was no special deal as to how the party would be run and so on and so on. Of course, what runs the party, what guides the operation of the party, is the party constitution, which all members are supposed to abide with. The party constitution is sacrosanct. All other legal instruments, electoral act, constitution, and so on, guide the operations of the constitution. So there was no special agreement as to any interest or anything as to how we can run the party.
On election day, February 25, 2023, when the results started pouring in and President Tinubu was ahead, so to be leading, can you take us through the conversations in those moments between you and him within that period?
Well, within that period, because we also getting feedbacks as to what was happening in the field, and we believe that we actually won the election. So the thinking was, how do we defend the vote? How do we go to court? How do we make sure that issues are done properly so that there is justice, there is equity in the system? And I'm sure that you saw that even when there was pressure that people wanted to enter the street, we then believed in the judicial process and we said, okay, let us allow the judicial process to go on. And you saw that I was the face of the court process. We followed all through, and you know that the rest is now history.
After the Supreme Court affirmed President Tinubu's election victory, a lot of Nigerians expected Labour Party probably to regroup and plan for 2027. But unfortunately, that seemed to be the beginning of the end. And then what we saw was like Labour Party pressing the self-destruct button. At what point did you think B2B became no longer an asset? But
I want to say that it's very regrettable, very disturbing as to what happened to Labour Party. Immediately after the presidential election and after the court case, if you recall, I came out with 2 cardinal programs. First, I concluded that we needed a viral political education. First, to sustain the momentum of Nigerians. And secondly, to continue to educate Nigerians on the need for them to defend their rights and keep the consciousness of the people. Because you need the people at all points to be able to achieve anything democratically. Secondly, I saw the flaws in the Electoral Act that aided what happened with the 2022-2023 general election. And I came up to say that we needed a comprehensive electoral reform in our system. And I said, if you recall, go and check the video. January, you see those videos that I did. It was an elaborate press conference where we unveiled moving forward in Labour Party. And we talked about comprehensive reform of the electoral process, where we talked about amendment of the Electoral Act, the role of INEC, the role of the security agencies, and all of that. Our thinking was that if we're able to build on that momentum and take it from that time to this 2027, the chances of the party would have been brighter. And I was pursuing that. Ironically, people became hungry to capture the party, and the crisis started unabated, as you saw in the party, from one crisis into another crisis. And ironically, when INEC came in 2024 to say that tenure had expired, even when we had organized the convention in April, I had expected that Peter Obi and Alex Otti, who were the leaders of the party, to have teamed up with the leadership of the party to fight the injustice, knowing that it was a reprisal attack on the party. But what did they do? They went to Umuahia and divided the party into two, came up with this caretaker committee that eventually became the albatross that eventually almost destroyed the soul of the party. So it was at that point when Alex Otti and Peter Obi went to Umuahia to set up a caretaker committee that I saw Alex Otti and Peter Obi as being a destructive element to the party instead of being an asset. It was at that point when they went to Umuahia to set up a caretaker committee, a party, an executive that already gave you tickets, the two of you, to run for 2026, sole tickets. I have thought that reasonable leaders would have built on that moment. No matter what may have been the grievances, no matter what people may have been saying, no matter what may have been the issue, I probably thought that they would have done better by keeping the party together for 2027. I think it would have paid all sides better. Because you know the trajectory, moving from one place to the other and struggling and so on and so forth. And whether we like it or not, what you build for 3 years and what you are going to build for 8 months will not give you the same result. It may amount to what you did the first time. So, and when you adopt the same approach on a matter, you won't get a different result. So we had thought that if we had built the party for 3 years, it would have given a better result than what you are likely to have.
What were the things that you didn't do that if given a different scenario, you think you would have done better?
Probably Nigerians would have probably defended their vote more or something, I don't know. I think we did our best within the circumstances we found ourselves.
You accused the Peter Obi of becoming an anti-democratic after the 2023 election. What specifically did he do that made you call him anti-democratic?
At the point they went to Umuahia to handpick people to become members of the National Caretaker Committee, I didn't see that as democratic. I probably thought he would have done better, because for somebody that we thought would have been different, somebody we believe in democracy, believe in due process, somebody who has quarreled with rascalism, quarreled with impunity, I didn't think it was proper to have gone to Umuahia to handpick people and call them National Working Committee, and then dissolve all structure of the party from national to wards. I think that was too undemocratic. I want to believe that even Tinubu, even Atiku, will not behave in that manner. And that team was the winning team. That was the team that led them into the 2023 general election, that produced a governor, produced 8 senators, produced 35 House of Rep members, and produced numerous State House of Assembly members. So going to one here to say you sack everybody and set up a caretaker committee because INEC has said so was highly undemocratic. And I felt that that was too much. That was not fair. It was morally wrong. It was legally wrong. It was wrong in all its ramifications. And didn't represent what we have portrayed them to be.
Let's look at how did you feel when members of those who won on the platform of Labour Party were just defecting, moving from people who wouldn't have had the opportunity, were cashed in on the momentum of Labour Party in 2023, got to the National Assembly, got to the State House of Assembly. When they started defecting, how did you feel? And why were you helpless, so to say?
Well, I wasn't really helpless, but I must say it was very regrettable. It was very painful. I felt highly betrayed because I had thoughts. I had a lot of opportunity personally as the national chairman of the party to have made fortunes for myself and the family. But because we believe in the philosophy of a new country, a new brand of politics, new faces in the political space, because most of the people that won were young people. They were also people who were new in politics. So we probably thought we would have used them as a foundation to start a new era, a new phase of politics in the country. And so when they started defecting, I was shocked beyond my bone marrow that Nigerians are really like this. And it took me back to the philosophy I used to jettison, that leadership is a reflection of the people, that you can't bring people from the moon to come and lead the people. That people who lead are the reflection of people. So I was thinking, it means that, so Nigerians are like this, so we can't have Nigerians with dignity, What even shocked me was that immediately they won into the House, instead of forced to the 35 or 8 to be a monolithic voice in the House, they started running after the APC members and were bringing APC members to me to support for the leadership of the party, my own members. And it was very regrettable. And after that, don't forget that when they approved the sum of, is it 100 million, 100 and something million for the vehicles, the party stated that they should not take those vehicles. They should start by defending the party and say no to it. Some of my members responded to me that the vehicle was for them to carry out an assignment. And that's where my disappointment started. I had thought that we would have been meeting, consolidate the 35, consolidate the 8 with the governor and Otti and the presidential candidate together, begin to build. After all, Tinubu started as a state governor and started expanded, and took over the country. Today he's president. So I had expected that with one governor, 35 House of Rep, 35 House of Rep and 8 senators would have been enough to lay a foundation for a new political philosophy, a new political ideology that is people-driven, that would have been a dominant voice. Don't get me wrong. Majority will always have their way, but the minority would have their say. So what I expected of the 35 and the 8 is not to have majority in there, but to have a voice. And I want to believe that a governor, 8 senators, 35 rep was enough voice to have made a difference in the country. Bola Ahmed Tinubu, with due respect to him, was one voice in Lagos, and today he's president of the country. PDP never rested with that one voice, and today they have taken over. But in our own case, we find that people who suddenly started flirting with APC and even joined INEC to decimate the leadership of the party. Immediately INEC said tenure had expired, they were all clamoring to share the leadership of the end of the list. Peter Obi wanted chairman, Alex Otti wanted secretary, and so they destroyed the party. And ironically, when they went to Umuahia to set up the critical committee, INEC refused to recognize it. That's the paradox, that's the irony of it. So at the end of the day, what they wanted to achieve failed woefully. and you know them. You are a journalist. You know the history. You know everything that played out.
Okay, I will return to that. I will return to what do you think was responsible for that push to sack the National Working Committee? But let me return to the National Assembly. Defection. And when people win on the platform of a party and just midway they dump the party, what do you think is the weakness in our electoral acts that cannot make it possible that if you defect, you lose your seat automatically and go and try popularity test again?
I don't think it's a matter of law. I think it's a matter of the practitioners. Well, it could also be related to law, but in practice, it is not being defended. For instance, the law says the speaker or the presiding officer has to declare the seat vacant for it to be contested. But it's like giving somebody one thing with one hand and taking it with another hand, because the ruling party will usually produce the presiding officers. And in most cases, those defecting from the party with the minority will always defect to the ruling party. So why will the ruling party work against itself? And then the judiciary too have not also helped matters in this respect. Because when some of those matters went to court, the court have declared that they don't have power to declare the seat vacant. That is for the presiding officer to do. So, but by and large, I think we all hands need to be on deck, knowing that whatever position you sit on today is not forever. I mean, those people a lot of these legislators who amended the 2022 Electoral Act, that you can't, after submitting the register, you can't move to another political party. We're all caught in the web. They have all lost their primaries and they have no place to go. But thank God for the Federal High Court decision recently that have nullified that provision. Otherwise, by now, they would have all been in a mess. And they made it themselves. They wrote it and signed it. And the law started with them. So I think that when we are in office, we should allow patriotism, we should allow national interest to drive our actions rather than pecuniary benefit and what we can get immediate. So allowing people to defect from one party to another party is not helping our democracy. It's not helping the growth and development of multi-party system in Nigeria. Because usually, who are the people that lost their members? They are the minority parties. People hardly leave the ruling party for the minority party. So in other words, when you encourage that kind of arrangement, you are reducing the scope of participation, and by that, killing multi-party democracy in the country. So I think that we need to look at our laws. We need to change our behavior. We need to allow national interest to override every other sectional, partisan interest that we have. That's how the country will grow. As we are going presently, where everybody is parochial, looking at your interest alone, instead of the interest of the country is the one that suffers.
What do you think? Let's return to that question. What do you think was responsible for people interested in pushing out the National Working Committee which you were leading?
Well, I think that they will answer it more, because every person has an answer for their own behavior. But I think it is probably quest for control, quest to have the party, quest to have party leadership in your pocket. And I want to say that that's what has destroyed our system, the whole of our system. Because when people win election, they want to control the party structure. So that even where they do badly, where they don't perform, they will have a platform on which to ride on in subsequent elections and have party sponsorship in the other elections. So I want to believe that probably they feel that they have not done very well, probably, and they want to have control over the party so that they can all come back, whether they perform or not, in the 2027 general election. Probably. I think they are in the best position to answer that. Because for me, I didn't see what we didn't do for them. We supported them, gave them all we had, gave them the platform without collecting money from them, and I want to be contradicted, gave them opportunity, defended them, followed them to the courts, fought with them, and they won. And none of them, and I want this to be repeated, none of them ever contributed to the party. All the years that we had these people in the National Assembly, including the governor, no single contribution was made by them to support the party. It's unfortunate and it's ironical, but that's the situation that we find ourselves in.
Well, of course, history will judge the Labour Party crisis. And when it does, what will be, if any, your biggest regret in handling Peter Obi and the crisis of the party?
I want to say very clearly that history will judge me rightly when they come to estray the general circumstances of the party. I want to believe that I did my best, made all the sacrifices for the growth and development of that party. I have no regret whatsoever. I believe that my actions, my decisions were taken dispassionately in the interest of the party. Dispassionately. Even decisions that will affect me as a person were taken in the interest of the party. A lot of pecuniary benefit would have come to us personally, but we forgo them because we wanted the party to grow, because we wanted to make that mark. So I want to believe that when history comes to judge the circumstances of the Labour Party, I will be exonerated and history will judge me very, very well.
The opposition parties. What do you think is the problem of the opposition in Nigeria today that has made it almost impossible for the opposition to be assertive?
Well, the opposition, just like what has happened to Labour Party that you see, for opposition parties to be very strong, the people must also play their role. I feel that the people themselves are not playing the role that they ought to play to make opposition parties to be very strong. Look at the trajectory of Labour Party. Look at what has happened to us. With all the sacrifices we made in the 2022-2023 general election, those who were beneficiaries of that action, you can see how they have behaved to us. And so, the behavior of our people, those who are elected on the platform of political parties and so on, is responsible for why the opposition political parties are not very strong. People now look at it. People are conscious of what will happen to them. If I go out of my way and lead an onslaught, if there is a backlash, who will defend you? Who will stand by you? In my own case, everybody abandoned me. The people that would have teamed up with the leadership of the party to defend the party when they came after the party started struggling to share the leadership of the party. Started struggling for the position and didn't care about what happens to us. So people who are watching, what do you think they will do if they have that opportunity? And I'm sure today that all other political parties have learned from what happened to us in the 2022-2023 general election and will be more conscious of their behavior. So generally, there are a lot of factors that is not making the opposition parties to be strong. And the issue of finance, running a political party and running an election in Nigeria is very expensive, which a lot of opposition political parties may not have. Deep pockets these days drive the process. And that's why we wanted to build a party that is different, where you use the momentum of the people, raise the consciousness of the people, since democracy is about the people, make them know that they have the power, get their support. And then by the time you elect people into offices, let those people also be conscious of the people who work for them. By doing this, over time, you'll be able to build a strong opposition political party. Opposition party is not easy to build. It takes time to build, and it's a gradual process.
What do you make of those who have accused you of working for both the APC in a way when they see you and the FCT minister?
Well, the FCT minister is my friend. I have known the FCT minister for many years. And what is even wrong to meet with the FCT minister and discuss? I live in FCT. He is my friend. Peter Obi, on the other hand, I have also been transversing all around, meeting the RFIs, meeting the articles.
They were in the same party before.
Meeting others and interfacing. Peter Obi was in PDP when I was interfacing with him. So there's nothing, people just make noise out of nothing. If I have any reason to work with the APC, I will say so publicly. And I will do my analysis of it. I will say why I want to do it. I won't do it in hiding. I won't do it in the secret. I will do it in the open. So, for those who bring such propaganda, I laugh at them. I don't take them serious. I see them as people who want cheap popularity. Of course, I do what I want to do.
This APC government, what is one thing you think they've really not done well? And how would you assess them if you are to assess and rate?
Well, the only thing I think they have not done properly is the issue of security. I think that they need to do more in the area of security. Life and property is very important. And I think that whatever it will cost them to defend life and properties, I think that they need to do more about it. In terms of the economy, I think they are not doing badly in the area of the economy, like people have said.
The Nigerians seem not to be feeling the impact.
Like our reserve is increasing, and so on and so forth. So they also need to work hard to see that such economic policies put food on the table for Nigerians.
If you have one advice for them, what would that advice be?
We appeal to them to take the issue of security seriously. Security of life and property is the principal purpose of government. So we appeal to the Commander-in-Chief to deploy more efforts in ensuring the safety of life and properties in Nigeria.
As we wrap up, do you see the possibility of defeating Tinubu in 2027? Have you reflected on that, the possibility? And if yes, what is optimism anchored on?
Well, I've not given it a serious thought, but in the political space, anything can happen. So let people go and work hard. They too should work hard. You know, in politics, everybody defends themselves. So the few months ahead of us will be very interesting.
Thank you very much for obliging
so
us your time. We appreciate you. Thank you.